Everyone had a good old year? You reflect on that old year? I see some people here. Can you hear me? Welcome to my world. I'm deaf too. Testing. Are we there?
Better.
I need to just talk a little bit about it. Speaking in front of people is not an easy thing for me. I see some people here that heard this message. I apologize. You're going to hear the same message. I never have a new message for our sister church. The new message is always at our church. But anyway, shall we bow our heads for prayer? Lord, thank you. Thank you for everything. And Lord, thank you for the opportunity to share with my brothers and sisters at Waipahu Church what you are teaching me on how to live and how to trust you. So Lord, open our hearts and our minds to be receptive. Is my prayer in Jesus' name. Amen. The message today is entitled, Stay the Course. What does it mean to stay the course? You know, when things aren't going right in our lives and we don't know which way to turn, the biggest thing is, as Christians, is to abandon ship and say, Lord, my human nature, I want to try it my way. When Jesus says, stay the course. You know, I have a friend that's about my age, was a pilot. I don't know if he's still flying. I haven't seen him in a long time, but he's up in Angwin, PUC. And he was an instructor. And he said the hardest thing was to teach the pilots to fly by instrument, nothing else. When you cannot see, stay. And what does Jeremiah 29:11 say? For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord. Plans to prosper you and not to harm you. Plans to give you a hope and a future. What kind of plan do you think God will be talking about? Well, let's see what Patriarchs and Proverbs has to say on it. The very trials that test our faith most severely and make it seem that God has forsaken us. Have you been there? Have you been there? The very trials that test our faith most severely and make it seem that God has forsaken us are to lead us closer to Christ. Do I believe that? This is important. Is when you're flying solo and you can't see a thing, and the instructor says, Trust the instrument. What are you going to do? Forget it and see what you can see or go? That we may lay all our burdens at His feet and experience the peace which He gives us in exchange. Unless I practice this, it never becomes a part of my life. What else does the new NIV version say on this? As long as God, who knows the future, provides our agenda and goes with us as we fulfill His mission, we can have boundless hope. This does not mean that we will be spared pain, suffering, or hardship, but that God will see us through to a glorious conclusion. You know, what is it, Black Friday? I don't know what day it was, but it wasn't on a Black. We don't go shopping, but it was a week that they had Black Friday, right? And I like to go with my wife. I love to be with my wife.
Amen.
And when she goes shopping, I tag along and I go to the used book. You know that used book in Pearl City? The mall? What is it called? Anyway, but this is a used book. Can you tell that? It's a brand new book. It's used. It's a book. It's a book. And because it was Black Friday, they gave me 20% off, 80 cents. You know this lesson quarter that you're studying on stewardship? I don't know if it tells you this, but I'm going to tell you this. Even the money that's in your pocket still belongs to God. Even though we give tithe and offering to whatever we give to, that money in my pocket still belongs to God, and I got to make sure I don't waste it. But anyway, I bought this book, and let me read you what it says. It's all on it's Proverbs. The first one says, worry ends where faith begins. You believe that? Do you believe it? Then we don't need to talk anymore. We can quit. Correct? Because you believe it. And you practice it. Is that correct? I'm deaf. So we're just going to practice this anyway because you believe it and do it, right? Hey, second one. Faith makes things possible. Not easy. And the third is, for faith to prosper, it must experience impossible situations. Again, I've been in church all my life. 74 years. I go to church. But it was only till I was in a position that needed prayers answers, which I never got. He was telling me, it's either get out or commit. Age 42. And that's when I had to commit, out or in. And if I'm going to be in, be for Him, and not just warm a seat for somebody else. And the worst place to be is to place where you don't want to be. But it's because I did it all my life. It was committing. Faith, for faith to prosper, it must experience impossible situations. Have you been there? Are you going through it? What am I doing about it? Second Peter 3:9. The Lord is not slack concerning His promise, as some men count slackness, but is long-suffering to usward, not willing that any should perish, but that all should come to repentance. You see, and that's another thing. And I look at myself, because what I was praying for was, and what I wanted was God to answer my prayers the way I wanted it to be, so that I could stay weak. Again, my faith is directly proportional to how I pray. Listen to your prayers. Listen to what I pray for. This is important. Is God a genie? That He's going to do everything you want? Because you pray, Lord, help. It's what it is. What does Timothy 2:4 says? Who will have all men to be saved and come unto the knowledge of truth. Let me explain this to you a little bit. Do you know what that is?
Pattern.
Women. Do you know what that is? It's a pattern, right?
Right.
Or actually it's a plan, correct? It's a plan. You know, my former wife is a good person. She loved the soul. And she would always buy plans. Anybody buy plans, the patterns or whatever to sew? And she would buy different patterns, and I guess I never paid attention. But I knew she bought patterns and she bought materials to sew. And one day I was looking for something. Something important, I guess, and I opened up the shelves and I opened up the shelf and all the material fell down, partly sewn. I said, what happened here? I got stuck. I don't know how to do it. You ever, I mean, I have no idea on this, okay? But she said, there's always a part in a pattern that I'm stuck. And in our spiritual life, when we pray and God doesn't answer our prayers the way we want it, doesn't work. I said, well, why don't you go to the source? The place in, I think it's kind of Cooley Dry Goods. You heard of Cooley Dry Goods? And learn. And Waipahu she did go. And she learned. And she could sew and follow and make things. She made a couple dozen pants for me that people look at the stitch and said, wow! Did she make that? This is the plan, folks. And when you get stuck, maybe you need to get on your knees. You know, it's I can tell you, it works. It works. I could not see my way clear, but I had to commit. I had to commit. I didn't know where I was going to go or how things were going to work out. Have you been there? Because if you've been there and you committed, this church would be the best place to be. Here's another example. You know what that is? I don't GPS. You know, when my brother's son, my nephew, graduated from Loma Linda School of Medicine about 25 years ago, he got, a doctor hired him and set him up in a practice, gave him a BMW, and it had one of these things in there. And he said, Uncle, he took me and his brother-in-law, let's go play some golf, and we went, and I could hear some stuff, but I don't hear it good. He said, go this way, go that way, turn left. He said, what happens if you turn the wrong way? He said, well, let's try it. Well, he turns left instead of going right like GPS says, and the GPS say, dummy. No, he doesn't say dummy. You made a wrong turn. Let's get you back going. So it tells you, and he makes another wrong turn and it keeps going and it keeps going till it gets you going. And this is what it is. When we're going the wrong way, this is the GPS. And what do we do? Like God told the children, you're stiff-necked. See, nobody likes to be told what to do. Not even when it comes from God. Stiff-necked. But if we follow it just like this, what does this thing say when you turn into where you're going, to your destination? You have arrived. Isn't that the great? You have arrived. Welcome to the foundation built. What does Jesus say? Welcome. I'm going to tell you like I tell everybody. Heaven will not be the same if one of us is not there. Do you come to church with the idea of, I don't plan to make it to heaven anyway? Is that how it is? What fool is that? Raise your hand. But we don't want to follow this. We want to do it our way. And God has the right to say, Mary, you're stiff. You don't like being told. You just don't like being told. So what is the plan that God has? Is it to make me a doctor or a lawyer or an Indian chief? Is that what God's plan is? To make so that I can be wealthy, make a lot of money, and still lose my soul? Is that a good plan? What is the plan he's talking about? He's talking about the plan of salvation. To be with Jesus Christ forever. Is that a good plan?
Amen.
Is that a good plan?
Amen. Amen.
What does the plan say? Let's go to John 14:6. What does the plan say? Jesus said unto him, I am the way, the truth, and the life. No man cometh to the Father but by me. The message is simple. God doesn't make things difficult for me to understand, to see like a maze. If you find your way through this maze, you have salvation. Amen. But I must tell you, I made it difficult. Is that a loving God? God wants me, and God wants you to be in the kingdom. The message is simple. Execution is the hardest part, and that's our part, is to trust. Trust. Do you believe that?
Amen.
If we don't start to practice it now, what things are still not troublesome, we will never be able to be with Jesus Christ. We have to start it now. We need to. What is it? Jesus, I am the way. Is that easy? I am the truth. And I am the light. And what does he say in Isaiah 46:10? I know the end from the beginning. So when you pray for what it is that you would like God to handle, and He doesn't handle it the way that you or I may want it, why is that? I know the end from the beginning. Is that difficult to understand? Simple. Who can see the end and from the beginning? You know, there's a couple that had 4 sons. And this couple that had 4 sons were pillars in a church. They were the ones we looked up to. And you know, these boys, brought up in a Christian family, went off to school, got married, and it was only until then we found out through the wives that their in-laws, well, they didn't like them. They were legalistic in the way they worshiped. And I don't know if 4 of them got divorced, but I know 3 got divorced. And I know the wives that they married very well. And they didn't like their in-laws. In fact, the older one said when the mother had to come and live with him because the father died and she couldn't live alone, it's no way. I can't say maybe 50 years after being raised at 7th day, they don't go to church. The second oldest died in October. Died of diabetes. They didn't know what water was for. The older brother told me, stacks of soda in the garage. The younger brother is going to die too. He's got diabetes and it's bad. The second boy, the one that first died, they were, I guess, starting to cut the extremities. But his cousin, who is a pastor, this family is from Honolulu, Hawaii, here. Anybody remember the name Bob Long? He used to be with the conference, correct? Well, that's the cousin. And he talked to the boy, and that boy gave this boy 70. Gave his heart to the Lord. And Bob talked to the brothers, except for the older brother, because the older brother was here. I took him to lunch 3 times in December, just talking with him. But I can see God's hand in this family's life. And the boy that died gave his heart to the Lord according to one of the sister-in-law who I got to make connection through Facebook, which I haven't seen her in 50 years. She is a God-fearing woman who was married to one of the boys. Said she gave his heart, he's at peace, and he looks forward to seeing his parents. The younger one is going the same way. It's already, his insides are starting to shut down. But you know, we don't pray to have God alter our plans that He has for us. It's just like me, I'm going deaf. I can tell it's getting worse. And the day I get up and watch my wife moving her lips and I don't hear a thing, pray for me that I will trust God. Don't pray that God, nothing happens good or bad unless God allows it. Lamentation 3:36 and 37, I think it is. Pray for me that I will trust God. God knows. He allowed it. Whatever you're going through, you think God doesn't know? He knows what is best to keep you on His plans, that you and I can be with Him. Do I want to alter that plan? But Lord, help me, please. This is what I want. Of course, if it's your way, I think to me, it's music to God's ears to hear me say, I trust you, Lord. Simple message. I cannot really say that if I don't have a relationship with Jesus Christ. And I don't want to come to church because everybody comes to church. I want to see Him face to face. I don't know. You know, like they say, only God knows my tomorrow. And He tells me, trust me, Larry. Trust me. Hard to do if we don't have a spiritual relationship. It's tough. You think it's tough to be physically deaf? It's worse if I'm spiritually deaf. This is what? And what does E.G. White, I read this December 29, he says, the season of distress and anguish before us will require a faith that can endure weariness, delay, and hunger. A faith that will not faint though severely tried. this part, the part that we have to commit to me, takes guts. But it's not as hard if we have a loving relationship. And last, I'd like to just read a short story, not 2-3 paragraphs maybe. I think I've quoted from this book to you before, 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. Teaches you how to live in our language that you can understand. Written by a Mormon. It says, 2 battleships assigned to the training squadron had been at sea on maneuvers in heavy weather for several days. I was serving on the lead battleship and was on watch on the bridge as night fell. The visibility was poor with patchy fog, so the captain remained on the bridge, keeping an eye on all activities. Shortly after dark, the lookout on the wing of the bridge reported light bearing on the starboard side. Is it steady or moving astern? The captain called out. Lookout replied, steady, Captain, which meant we were on a dangerous collision course with that ship. The captain then called to the signalman. Signal that ship. We are on a collision course. Advise you change course 20 degrees. Back came the signal. Advisable for you to change course 20 degrees. The captain said, send. I am a captain, change course 20 degrees. I am a seaman second class, came the reply. You had better change course 20 degrees. By that time, the captain was furious. He spat out, send. I am a battleship, change course 20 degrees. Back came the flashing light. I am a lighthouse. We change course. God's words are like a lighthouse. And sometimes we become like God said, Jesus said, you are stiff-necked. You don't like to be told what to do. And you know, if I look at it, if I'm not careful, and I just get upset with God and say, I'm not going to do it, and lose my soul, you know that text that says, I think it's 22:14 of Revelation, where Jesus says, I stand at the door and knock. I just said, Lord, come in, please. It's a mess. I'm in need. I don't know what the future is for my life. Do you know what the future is for your life? Well, who knows? My friend, my classmate, she's older than me. Yeah? And that family that I talk about, the older boy is my classmate. And his parents were pillars at Kankakee or Diamond Head Seventh-day Adventist Church when I was there. I loved them. I loved them. And the way they were as parents was the way they were brought up. the way my parents were brought up. That's how they knew to be. But we living now know it's better, that love is the most important thing. But this is how they were brought up. I am positive that God has His plan to save all those boys for their parents. And I keep praying for them. I thank God to have a little to help them. Whether I don't know, but I keep them in my prayer.
I don't know about tomorrow. I just live from day to day. I don't borrow from its sunshine, for its eyes may turn to gray. I don't worry for the future, for I know what Jesus said, and today I'll walk beside Him, for He knows what lies ahead. Many things about tomorrow I don't seem to understand, but I know who holds tomorrow, and I know who holds my hand. I don't know about tomorrow. It may bring me poverty, but the one who feeds the sparrow is the one who stands by me. And the path that is my portion may be through the flame of flood, but His presence goes before me, and I'm covered with His blood. Join me. Many things about tomorrow. I don't seem to understand, but I know who holds tomorrow, and I know who holds my hand, but I know who holds tomorrow, and I know who holds your
Heavenly Lord, Lord, again, thank you. I thank you for my brothers and sisters here at Waipahu. I pray, Lord, that you bless us all. And like I've said, heaven will not be the same if one of us is not there. Dismiss us now with your blessing. In Jesus' name.